Hello and welcome to 4,000 and Counting. I am Watty, and today I am joined by 2/3 of the 3-on-3 podcast. Up first, Mr. Jonathan Williams, and joining him and I is Mr. Scott Finley. Boys, really weird time to get you on. Obviously, we had this lined up, and then we had the Adam Johnson tragedy. I'm fresh off listening to your boys' episode yesterday. I thought you handled it absolutely brilliantly. So just want to say congratulations. Good job, boys.
Yeah, I'll be the first to admit I was a little bit apprehensive. Probably took it a bit worse than the boys at the time, which was kind of ironic because I'm probably the only person in British ice hockey not to have actually seen it. I kind of alluded to why on the podcast as to why I won't see it. But yeah, obviously it's been a tough few weeks, and at the end of the day, I suppose, life does go on, but when people have seen that kind of thing live in the building, I can't begin to imagine, obviously, what people are feeling right now, because it's not something we ever expect ever to see or even hear in our country. You see the odd occasion, in the NHL, KHL over the years, and it's happened, but when it's close to home, it's a bit more real, obviously. And yeah, it was a tough one. I hope we did address this, to be fair. We all had a bit of a chat beforehand to make sure we were ready to go, and we all agreed. Me last minute, to be fair, I was kind of a bit of a pussy in the minute, but then, yeah, hopefully it came across well. And like yourself, you did yours, and you just sort of relayed, I think, how everyone was feeling, and you kind of called a few people out, and that's kind of what I tried to do. And I've said nothing I wouldn't say to people's faces, to be fair. But yeah, it was a tough one.
What about you, Scott? How did you find it? I found it tough to do. Like I sat down to record that podcast 3 times that day.
I'm very glad that we don't do these on videos normally, because I'm a fidget anyway. I'm going to try and stay calm tonight. But I mean, my voice broke a few times because it is very raw, but I found it quite healing to talk about it and get it out. And we do have a platform to talk about it, and sometimes you can't say that in a tweet and it can get misconstrued. But all the shit we heard, people saying stuff, and people never watched a game in their life just becoming experts, it was a good way of shutting them up, really. And yeah, I don't want to say enjoyed it, but I'm very glad I did it.
Yeah, I definitely felt the same afterwards. Because like I said, I sat down when I first saw those couple of videos. I talked about it. I wasn't going to do anything that week. I didn't want to do anything that week. And then I saw those videos and I just went straight from fucking 0 to 100. I was raging. I was raging. I was like, fuck it. I said to Mark, I was like, how you feeling? You feel all right? He's like, nah, man, I'm still not good. I was like, well, I'm going to go. He was like, yeah, do it. So, and then I sent it to the boys. I let them watch it. And I had to edit one bit because I was mid-flow and I said a word. I said congratulations, and it wasn't the right context. Mark was like, I'll take that out. And I was like, do you know what? I think that's a fucking good idea. I'll take your editing advice on that. Took it out. And then after that was out and like the episode went, I definitely felt better. I felt like we kind of addressed some issues, and I think you boys did the same. The hate that Petgrave's been getting has been disgusting, although I have seen some positive. Dean Colley, the Sheffield photographer, he sent me a video today, and it's a We Stand With Petgrave video. I'm not sure who made it, but it's on a YouTube account. It's basically just like 22 minutes of him, basically with pictures with kids and all the fans and the disabled fans and fucking everything, right? And for people to come out and try and say that this man intentionally caused that injury, I still don't buy it. I didn't say it on the podcast, but I was chatting to some people today. I was like, you'd have to be an elite level MMA guy and an elite level figure skater to even be able to do that intentionally. Like, us boys can wheel around out there, but we ain't no Torval and Dean. We can't be skating like that. Our blades are different. The technology's different. It's not intentional. I think you boys agree, right?
Yeah, and like as you say, even if that was the case, how are we deciding that split how are you going to actually pull that off? You're not going to try and kill someone in a fucking hockey game.
Right.
Let's just, no matter how much beef goes on between players, and we've seen way worse fights, hits, whatever. No one's going out there with it thinking, right, my blade is a weapon, I need to take this guy down. And like you say, you can't even engineer that kind of move. If you practice it a million times, it wouldn't work. In a split second, when you lose your balance, you're not thinking, I'm going to hit somebody. You're just trying to compose your body and try not to get yourself hurt in the first place as well. Okay, I've admitted I haven't seen it, but I'm trusting everyone's word that I know and love that who has seen it. It's a fucking accident at the end of the day. But like we said, it comes down to the guy's colour. That's the bottom line, you know.
Yeah.
So much racist crap was kind of going around, and then like Scott brought a very good point up about like his points, his penalties, you know, in its last season. Well, he's most penalised guy in the league. He's not a dirty player. He's just a chopsy player, and he's a sloppy player at times, but he's not dirty.
Myself and Mark Scott, we had a conversation. I was like, do you know what? I'm glad you did it because I was gonna do it. I was like, 135 pims. I was like, fuck me, that was a slow weekend for me back in the day. Like, I was like, Jesus Christ, let me look into it. And I was like, I goes, right, he plays top 4 minutes, he plays all situations. Let's start there. So he plays 28, 30 minutes a night. Exactly. Okay. There's 56 games. So he's on the ice for 27 whole entire games. He plays quite aggressive. He plays an aggressive style. I'm expecting 30 minors, a couple of fuck yous to the ref, so a couple of 10s, maybe a tilt or 2 tilts, and maybe he gets kicked out of the game from a hit from behind or something. That's what I'm trying to get to these numbers.
Yeah.
And then when you broke it down, I was like, man, I wasn't far away. Like, that's pretty much what it was.
Yeah. And then you add to that is plus minus. I mean, we didn't slag him off. We called him petulant all last year because he was.
That's fine.
But, you did.
You did.
I did.
I always stand with you, but
like, own it.
You know, but it was because the game where he was in Coventry, so I seen it firsthand. I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? But this season is a completely different animal. I think he had his critics last year, even though he did very well in the plus minus. He did have his critics and his naysayers, and Fox bringing him back. He had started the season a completely different player with his penalty, hardly any penalty minutes, and still producing and still playing good minutes. I think Fox reduced his minutes a little bit to get him into the season, but it was working well. But just going back to that, the hit and the leg up, there was a play in the NHL last week. I think it was a Minnesota player who took an edge and his skate come flying up behind him to head height.
Yeah.
He was just lucky that no one else was behind him. Otherwise, we'd be having the same conversation. But no one else mentioned that edge and that skate flying up. There's been the Gudis hit, his skate comes flying up. There's been multiple hits. There's one going across the face. I think we're just noticing it more. It's always happened. It's just that freakness that it's happened in our game and with the unfortunate outcome.
So the Gudis one was probably worse to be fair, I thought, because the Gudis one was quite low, wasn't it? And the other player was literally probably like 3 foot from the ice, basically. Do you know what I mean? Even more chance, you know, to try and get 6.5 feet up in the air, to get 6 feet up in the air, for your blade to connect with someone's throat. That's just, if you tried to do that, you probably couldn't do it a million times. It's just awful. And yeah, and I don't know. I can't really comment, obviously, on having not seen the incident. Do you know what I mean? But it's just horrendous. And I think that the fact that he had to live with that guilt and now put up with all the additional hate he's getting, he's a stronger guy than I am, for sure.
Well, I touched on that. I can't remember what it was. Meow Faila, the post on Twitter that turned into a really good thread of players with their skates up in the air and that sort of stuff. So after that, I went, fuck it, let's roll back through like my Facebook tags from my career. And within 2 minutes, I have 25 pictures of either me, somebody else in the picture, an opponent, whatever, skates up in the air. Now, it's interesting you talk about the hits. There's loads of things. There's one of me taking a shot and I'm shooting off my front foot. So shooting in mid-stride and my back foot is behind. It's like I'm taking a stride. It's probably waist height behind me, yeah? There's a perfect picture of it. Joe Green is back checking this way. Joe Green is reaching for the puck there. His head's fucking 2 inches from my foot. Same thing. There's a battle in front. I need to share this picture. I wanted to wait until the dust settled because it is quite funny. I'm obviously battling in front with whoever it is for Telford, and Tommy Watkins is on his knees, and my feet are above his fucking head. My head's on the ice. I look like I'm doing a headstand. Now, that's just 2 examples. None of them have come from hits. They're battles or even shooting the puck. There's even one of me celebrating a goal and one of the boys trips me and my foot goes up. There's so many things that fans probably don't realize how many times boys get caught with skates during a game, whether it be legs, whether it be arms. You know, you're battling in front, someone stands on your midsection. It does happen. You just probably don't see it unless that player happens to then be out for 4 to 8 weeks or something, and they put a press release out saying, you know, you got. If it's just a patch them up and go again, boys, they probably play the next night. You just don't see it.
Exactly, and that's the reality, isn't it? You know, skates are dangerous. If you're a goalie and a guy's, you know, you're down in the crease, you're covered in sweat and a puck. Guys are chasing that puck down. Defensemen are trying to, you know, move the guys out of the way. That goalie's face is down with skate height pretty much a third of the game at times. If the team was getting, you know, battered or whatever, but it's just unbelievable. I mean, it's just a freak thing, and the fact that obviously it was in a massive arena with a massive attendance, it makes it much more worse. Not saying they would dilute it. It was in the National League or whatever with like 600 people in there, but the fact it was witnessed by 8,500 people, having many people obviously watching the webcast live, a lot of people obviously affected by this, and this is a horrible thing. It's quite far-reaching. It's just beyond the players. It's the fans, it's the staff. You know, it's the. It doesn't even bear thinking about it. It really doesn't, because that to see that live, I'd be done. As I said on the pod, I would have never gone to that game ever again if I'd have been in that arena. Having one of the boys just describe after the game what happened, I was like, I'm done. I'm leaving the chat. Can't do it, you know. And I was one of the lucky ones, if that's the right thing to say, because I haven't seen it. So
that was my advice to anybody that asked me, mate. They was like, you know, like people that are not in the game or just like regular friends. Oh, there's a video going around. I was like, don't watch it.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't need to watch it.
No, I mean, obviously to have like a honest opinion, because everyone's got an opinion. I was like, oh, should I watch it? But I was like, no. I mean, my missus said to me straight away, like, John, don't watch it. It'll ruin you. And my 2 girls said exactly the same thing, and that's good enough for me. They know me better than anybody. They said don't watch it, and I was like, right, I want to go anyway, but they've seen it and they told me not to, so I'm just gonna just for the rest of my life never be tempted, because I just don't want to see that.
What about you, Scott? Obviously, you talked about it on the episode, so I didn't intentionally see it the first time I saw it. It just I opened Facebook, and it was, funnily enough, it was a much clearer video than anything that's been going around on all these stupid fucking YouTube videos that I've been watching. The video that I saw was like HD quality live stream. Obviously, since then, it's been butchered and it's gone down, and people can't even tell that, you know, the Steelers wear orange helmets and just like little details. How did you find watching the video? I found it very tough.
It was tough, but I got asked, do I want to see it? And my response was, what do I actually see? And he says it cuts away. So I wanted to see it to get an understanding. And as I said, I probably watched it 4 or 5 times just to see if I'm missing anything. And I'm not missing anything. We all know what happened. He clips the Panthers play, and he's going at that speed because he is a very fast skater. The unfortunate happened, but I watched it to understand. And you know, when people ask me those questions, I had some silly questions too. I'd be like, well, hold on a minute.
Yeah,
this is what happened. Don't believe what Lad Bible are telling you, what Daily Mail with their 20 million TikTok titles with the idiots back in America. I'm glad that's died down a bit, in the sense of they're not getting their clicks, so they're not as interested, and hopefully the real truth will come out.
Well,
yeah, I know what you're saying, though, because sorry, Nicky.
No, go on, mate.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, because I was in a Teams meeting the other day. I think, what day was it? Tuesday, I think it was. And people I haven't seen for probably a good couple of years, some of them, and they all know me and I know them, whatever. And I was at home, they were all in the office on the Teams, and I'm no busy on the screen. And one of the guy's first questions was like, hey, John, what happened to ice hockey player? And I was like, and then luckily someone else said something to kind of like change the subject a little bit. I was like, okay, that's the end of that. And I thought, okay, I'll just say nothing now. And right at the end of the meeting, he said, yeah, what do you think then? I was like, to be honest, don't want to talk about it. Well, he said, yeah, but
off, mate, that's what I think.
Yeah, exactly. And he was giving like his opinion. I was like, look, you know nothing about hockey. I'm not going to explain why, but I don't want to watch it. But yeah, it's not just a conversation that you just having a Teams meeting with, you know, just colleagues and stuff anyway. You said it's a thing that's affected a lot of people really badly. We're a small community. Everyone looks out for each other. And what you may think, or you may think, you know, I'm not interested. At the end of the day, I don't want to sort of talk about it. I just want to kind of leave it be. And that's people who don't even watch the game ever, but they all seen it. They're all talking about it. it's mad. But again, like Scott said on the pod, it's because they're probably seeing these other sort of people sort of tweeting with a bit of a bias, trying to make it a bit more than what it really is. Yeah, exactly. So, and like the question was kind of leading was, and he said, "Oh, did he mean it?" That's the first thing he said to me. Did he mean it? Like, what do you think? Do you think he went out there and just in front of 8,500 witnesses tried to kill someone? Of course, he didn't fucking mean it. Just
do you know what's interesting? I'm on the what's it called now? Doesn't matter. The Steelers Facebook page, the Steelers Army Facebook page. Obviously, share some of the episodes I've done with those boys and that in there. And someone posted, I'm not sure if it was a couple of weeks back anyway, but there was a big tilt going on the ice with the boys, and there's a picture of Adam and Matt. They're backed out of the thing, kind of like arm in arm. If either boy had a problem with each other, that was the fucking time to go. Like, so you're telling me Matt thought he would not do it then when they could just drop their gloves and do it. He's going to wait 2 weeks. And then, as they would say, he was going to kung fu kick him intentionally.
Yeah.
How does your brain get to that? I don't understand.
In fact, that was like one of the photographs that kind of, I was it broke me this week because I was already feeling a bit, like all of us, very sad and just confused. Confused, probably the best way to describe it, because you just can't work out how it happened. And you saw a photograph, 6 weeks ago, and they stood there. I think this poor pair, they just didn't know, like in 6 weeks' time, they're going to both be in such a life-changing situation for both of them. And that photograph was just a little bit, it was kind of, I don't know how I thought. I just thought it was quite sad, that these guys were clearly respected of each other. Didn't, like you say, didn't have a problem with each other. They'd have dealt with it there and then. Probably massive respect for each other. And like 6 weeks down the line, they're involved in something that's just so tragic. And that photograph, I know the one you mean. It hit me a little bit, thinking that's just, it's a bit too real.
But it's a poignant photograph. It's a photograph that ends any argument that anyone could ever give you.
Well, because, mate, I played the role. I know the fucking game. I know if I got a problem with a guy and there's a line brawl going on or 2 other fights on the ice at that point, and I'm stood next to him, you better believe I'm at least asking him, if not very, very, very much encouraging him to get his gloves shed, and we're going to chuck some knucks and get involved as well. Because, hey, I wouldn't want to miss out on a line brawl. No. It's like, come on. Like,
you've got no choice in, really.
You got to get after it a little bit. And that didn't happen, right? So that to me shows that. So I've read all sorts of shit like, oh, he had an issue with him from the last game, and he was bringing this, and he's all these penalty minutes. Like, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. You're just writing that on the internet with nothing, like no evidence, no backup. It wasn't like you were at the game and you were like, oh, I was at those boys were battling in the corner, they were battling in front, and one guy dropped the gloves, the refs got in the way, they tried to go later, something else happened. You can tell when a couple, like think back at Adam Keefe's day. You knew when Kiefer was going to go with someone on the ice. Like you could tell. Like you can tell in the game scenario what. And those boys didn't have that relationship on the ice.
Not at all. And the Elite League as a whole in the last few years, that's not been the case. We've completely diluted from that market. Some for the good of it, because the stage fights, even in the last 5 years, we got to a point where we're not asked about that. We only want it off a bad hit. I think with the Blaze, we had Garrett Klotz a couple of years ago, who I don't remember losing a fight.
No,
the team weren't doing so well. That viral fight that he had with Fitzgerald, but they were worthwhile fights. If we were 3-4-0 down in Belfast, he's going after Keith. He wasn't scared of anyone. He was trying to G up the team, but he was not a dirty player, Garrett Klotz. No. He played an honest game, and we've not had that dirty player in the league.
The tough guys rarely are the dirty players. Yeah. Like, they don't need to be dirty because they can generally punch your fucking head in. So
exactly,
they don't need to hit you with their stick or run you from behind.
We've had, we'll probably talk about this. Dops as in over the parity of the both leagues. The dirty players we know straight away, and Dops don't deal with them. I think with the NIHL they do deal with them in different ways, but
we will be talking about that. But before we get to that, I want to talk about the news that the Steelers are back this weekend. The Panthers postponed quite rightly, their double header away in Scotland. But it's now been announced today that on the Saturday the 18th, they are going to take on Manchester in an Adam Johnson Memorial game. So how do you boys break down those kind of pieces of news?
I was surprised. I wasn't expecting that news to come out because I thought, because they were supposed to play Manchester anyway.
Okay, right.
In I think it was a Challenge Cup or a season game. They were scheduled to play. I don't know. You read it and like, okay, you want to get back playing. I just thought they could have just said it was an exhibition game and not say it was a memorial game. I thought that could have been a little bit later on. And the reason why I'm saying that is because of what Simms said after. I don't know if you want to talk about that now.
I was going to get that onto that afterwards, but
okay. But I was just quite surprised that they weren't playing and then they weren't playing, because I thought if they wanted to get back into a game, they might have just played Manchester straight away. I don't know if playing an exhibition for me is the right idea, but I'm sure if you guys tell me why I'm wrong.
The only thing that I think is if somebody suddenly gets some PTSD, on the bench, and it's fucking right. Warm-up's great. You had your pre-game shit, you had your coffee, you've done your fucking two-touch, you go out for warm-up, you fucking ring a couple of pucks off the crossbar, bar down, you feel great. You get on the bench, and then shit. What the fuck am I doing? I don't want to be here. And boom. If that's an exhibition, it's a lot easier to say, yo, go and take your kit off, mate, than if 2 league points are on the line, I think. But that's just one take. I mean, that doesn't mean that it's the right take. It's just if you're thinking of reasons why maybe they didn't want to go straight in with, 2 valuable points on the line.
I get that. I've got to be honest with you. At the time an incident happened, one of my first thoughts was how the guy is going to come back. How many guys are going to be fit to play mentally, physically, emotionally anytime soon? You effectively just watch your teammate die in a game. Something that you never prepared for. I think it's a good point you made. Actually, I never thought of that. But like you say, when they get the skates on and there's a crowd in the building and then the puck drops, it's going to be different to just the team practicing on a Tuesday morning or whatever it is. Maybe time will tell how it's going to work out.
Maybe that's better though. Maybe that's better because I know what it's like. You guys you shout shit from the stands and people go, "Do you hear that?" You go, what? No, not fucking no. I'm here, and I'm right here doing this. I'm concentrating on this.
Mm.
You can kind of maybe block out the outside, and all of a sudden someone hits you, and you're like, "Shit." Well, I better switch on real quick because I'm in a game here. And then before you know it, it's third period, and then you're playing again tomorrow. And then maybe it's one of those that you just kind of, like you say, you just got, maybe you're right, Scott. Maybe it would have been better just to, boys, 2 points from the line. Let's just go. We're straight back to work. We're
get back on the horse.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah, there's definitely an argument for that, if that's the right phrase to use an argument. But yeah, it's probably reality. The longer it goes, it's like anything, isn't it? When you're off work for a week, you have 2 weeks off, you're like, oh shit, I've got to go back to work tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? And it sucks. And that's just by being on holiday when you've been chilling out for 2 weeks. So, but I guess in the situation they've all been in, to kind of go back in 2, 3, 4 weeks, wherever, it's still business at the end of the day. Every time they're not playing a home game every weekend, they're losing money and they can't just hemorrhage money for the rest of the year. Maybe over the next few weeks, there might be a few guys who do have to tap out, and no one will judge them for that. No. As you say, until you get in the game situation and things happen, there might be 2 or 3 guys who say I can't do it anymore. But fair play to them, fair fucks to the fact they're prepared to come back on the ice so quickly. It could do one of 2 things: either galvanize them, where they just literally live on his memory for the rest of the season, and they go have a great year, or you just carry that forward and you just don't get over it, you don't recover, and you have to almost rebuild a team next season. Hopefully it's the former than the latter. I truly believe that they deserve to have a good season after what they've been through. Lost Hammond, of course, in the summer as well. And
yeah, it's tough.
I did touch on that, in the pod, and Scott, he's a Blaze fan. He doesn't like Nottingham, which is fair enough. But legit, if they would have been in the Challenge Cup still, no, it's not going to happen. I'd have probably smiled if they'd won the Challenge Cup, because they're not going to win the league.
No, fuck that. It's still hockey.
Okay, well, maybe the playoffs in, Scott.
I like that though, because John, you touched on earlier, life does go on. It sounds shit, but ultimately, come December, Coventry are gonna hate fucking Nottingham still. Sheffield are going to hate Nottingham still. Nottingham, do you know what I mean? Like, we're going to be backed. Well, apparently, by my reckoning, EIHL Twitter lasted about 5 days before it just descended back into normality. You don't get it as much. Obviously, I don't know how much you boys pay attention to the NIHL Twitter or what's going on. It's really not like the EIHL Twitter. It's so different. It's like, oh, how was your game? Oh, you lost 6-5 to Romford. Oh, okay, cool, yeah. Don't get me wrong, there's some banter on that, but you go on the Elite League page after like someone's lost at the weekend. These guys are killing each other. Like, I was like, do you have fucking jobs to do? Go to work. Like, what the fuck? Sitting on Twitter. That argument was 17 hours long. Like, what's going on?
We've all taken them on, and we've all had arguments with these sort of people, and you can't win. They're just professional knobs on Twitter, aren't they? You know, never scared in their life. You know, they've always got an opinion on everything, and you can't win with some of them. And I gave up a couple of years ago on a lot of them because you can't beat them. They know it all, and they're so pro their club, and they're so anti everybody else. And that's the only I was saying to Izzy the other day. I can't wait for Twitter to get back to normal. I can't wait for the league to get back to normal, and everyone taking a piss and stuff. I said earlier, it's been like, what, 2 or 3 days, whatever it's 4 days. It's back to being like a cesspit again. And I was kind of looking forward to being back that way. And I'm thinking, oh my God, here we go again. Nothing's been learned. You know, nothing's going to change. And I kind of want normality. I kind of want teams hating each other again. I kind of want, as you say, games to be competitive and not to be something that's going to linger for the whole season. And clubs, fans, whoever, just living in that bad memory, try to take strength, you know, with each other and try and move on. But yeah, I don't know how I feel at the moment. I don't know whether, you know, getting that back to normal quickly is a good thing. Hopefully it will happen. But yeah, it's just a bit weird. I just don't know how to feel right now. It's just all too raw and still recent and almost surreal. I woke up on I think it's Monday morning. I said, did that really happen? I was like in my head, like trying to work out, did that really happen yesterday? Am I dreaming? Am I in just some kind of messed up world where I thought that happened? And then, yeah, I guess we all felt the same, didn't we? And at the end of the day, it is what it is. We've all got tribalism within ourselves, and we try and suppress it to some extent. When it comes down to it, we still fucking hate most of the fans or the teams. You know, when we don't like most teams, and you can't really hide that for too long, can you? Really? Scott didn't anyway.
Scott was like that.
Because some of the bullshit people are still tweeting. I'm like, you're clutching now. You're being a bit beggy. I'll use that word, and I'm just like, come on. You're saying one thing, and then the next day you're saying something else. It kind of contradicts what you're saying. So yeah, I'm all for getting back to competitiveness, and I'm not putting a slant on Adam Johnson's life. I'm not, because I was affected by it. That isn't fake. But what I did think it's good that Nottingham have got a home game to go to, and I do think it's great for Sheffield that their first game is away, to get back into competitive play, and then they Coventry go into town on Sunday because they've took that first check. It's away from home. I mean, Manchester's not a nice rink to go to, so it's probably the best rink to go to because it is in tight. They'll get some play, and then
change rooms will be cold. They'll be fucking wet.
The reality hits in. The
honestly, those change rooms in Altrincham, boys. You go in through the side door and you go in. I reckon the fucking cleaners have been in there 10 minutes before, squeegeeing down the walls. Especially in November, December. That barn, you walk in there.
I've only been in the home dressing room. How much worse is he away?
A lot.
Yeah, well, the home wasn't too good, so
it's a lot worse. And you know, as an away player there, for me, obviously a bit different for those boys, but for me, it was, I mean, you've been on the bus for 4 or 5 hours to get there, and then you get in there, and you get off the bus, you walk in, you're like, oh, and then you got to line up against like Robert Schnabel, and you're like, okay, this is going to be a long evening, especially with like back in those days in the EPL. I think they had Dougie, Adam Walker, Tony Hand, Ed Courtney, Christopherson, Schnabel, black lad, what was his name? Madison. This guy was money. He would have been so good in the Elite League. I think he came from like second league in Sweden. Legit. But right, you go into Manchester and they could fucking run up a score on you in that building if you weren't careful. It is now nice to see that in the Elite League they're actually starting to maybe take advantage of that barn a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a brutal place to go. I mean, as a fan, I've been there, must have been, I don't know, 30 times. Never been there sober. I always like it's one of the trips I kind of go to kind of get through those 3 hours. I gotta be pissed.
Yeah,
There's a couple. Manchester is like it's a known thing. We'd always go there. We're like, right, it's Manchester away. Let's try and get through it. So like you guys being sober, trying to play in that place, I don't envy you at all, because it would literally be where we'd be like sort of seeing like 18 players on each team, literally passing pitches around all night, But yeah, it's not. It's still amazing. It's an elite league facility. Don't get me wrong. I know Cardiff played in the BBT for many years, which is even worse. But then it's weird. Like the guys that play, they fucking love it. It's a dump, but it's their dump, and it definitely gives an advantage to them at home.
You substitute the rink for the fact that you're in and about Manchester.
Absolutely.
Altringham's brilliant. Sale's brilliant. No, there's so many good spots. If you're a fucking 25-year-old single dude from America who's coming over to play in Europe, you fucking suck the rink up for that. You'll suck the rink up for that. You've only got to be in there in the morning and one day at the weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
The rest of the day, you're going to be trying top and tailing in fucking town. You're going to be all right. Play a bit of good golf, maybe go brilliant city for sports. That's the thing. Like, for me personally, if I was picking a team for the rink, for the city, I'd pick Belfast. Like, if I'm an import and I was going over, I had anywhere to go. I love Belfast. I love the rink. That's where I'd want to go. But, if the money was right and they were trying to get you to go to Manchester, and you're going, well, Manchester's a great city as well, especially if you're from North America, you're from Europe. It's an experience as well as it is a job. Right? You get to come over and experience it. We've got some good cities in the Elite League. What I wanted to ask you, boys, do you ever see any expansion in the Elite League? Obviously, London gets flirted with all the time, but it's so expensive. I would like to see some other Elite League clubs eventually, but do you boys see it ever happening?
It's whether the little kind of old boys club want it, though. At the end of the day, isn't it? If I think it'd be great. There's so many massive cities in the UK you'd love to see hockey in.
Birmingham
and Birmingham would be great. I'm amazed that Birmingham all these years hasn't had hockey. It's Solihull for years, didn't it? There was a presence as such in the city as well. And even back to the Super League days, at that point, it was, you had like Newcastle, you had Cardiff, you had Sheffield, Nottingham, Manchester, London, big, high-profile cities. But I don't know, unless we get the media coverage, obviously, back in it, and we get some sort of TV deal or some national coverage, how do you break into Birmingham when there's like 2 football teams there? How do you break into Leeds? It would be bigger than what they've already got,
Well,
Newcastle.
The Clan have tried in Glasgow with Rangers and Celtic. They're still trying. They're still trying, but so I think one of their fans tweeted, "This is everything you need to know about the Clan this year," and it was they'd lost 7-0 at home and they'd sold 3,200 tickets for the next game. They was like, "This is the fucking problem. Stop just accepting losing 7-0 at home and selling the barn out next week." Like,
exactly.
Vote with your feet. Like, because do you know what hurts? 700 fans not coming through the door at fucking 18 quid a pop.
Exactly.
That stings. Like, that stings a bank balance. And all of a sudden you might need to go. And by the way, this is just one result. I'm not basing it, but I'm just saying, like, from a fan's perspective. Of course, you're going to be like, I'm not very happy losing 7-0 at home. I'm not dragging the fucking 2 kids and the missus down there on a Sunday to watch you get your titties pumped. And all of a sudden you have to make adjustments.
It's a fan base that accepts mediocrity, though. And we've been saying that. We've been banging that drum for a long time. But going back to teams and expansions, well, the London Races experiment ended in, 17 years ago. It should be something that we need to be looking at.
That's not right.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it's pretty sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
05-06, yeah.
Yeah, 05-06. Yeah, I think it was 05-06, 07. So that surely that needs to be revisited. And they were a fun team, Cornish and all that. They didn't win a lot, but they were. It was a fun night. You
didn't want to go in there on a Sunday afternoon to Lee Valley, did you?
Lee Valley, yeah.
Lee Valley.
You've got fucking not Belat.
Cairns. Eric
Cairns. Cairns, Cornish, Maxwell,
Robinson,
Robbo. That's I don't know if you ever see it on camera.
Is that a Robbo?
Do you know I talked about? In fact, I don't know if you boys ever read through the comments. People like saying full face cages next. I was like, no, fuck that. I skated across centre ice and Jason Robinson went, ugh, with a face cage and it went, ugh,
into you.
I would have rather took that in the jaw.
Yeah,
Because not only did I have the force of Jason Robinson's elbow, it was rammed metal first into my face. I would have just took the elbow pad before I took the cage all day long. But yeah, sorry.
He was subtle with it though, wasn't he? He was pretty good at being subtle when he wanted to be. But like Newcastle, we had the Metro Arena.
That was great. I loved
that.
That
was it's something. I mean, you still see Vipers fans at playoffs. It's something that
still see Durham Wasps fans at playoffs.
Yeah,
air and all that.
I used to go there. I'm so old.
What do you think about? Do you see Leeds ever making a step, or do you think is that just Leeds are comfy winning? I know. Do you feel like it's just going to be? We're going to have Kieran Brown there for 20 years. He's going to score 100 points a season, and then happy days.
No, because I think someone's going to take a chance on Kieran Brown.
They have to.
And if I was him when they come calling, I'd say no, and I'll go to Europe.
Yeah.
Because he's going to make more money. That kid can fucking play in Europe. I'm telling you right now. I've watched enough Europe. I watched a DEL game the other day. I watched 2, in fact. You put Kieran Brown on the ice for some of these guys. Some of these German kids, they can fucking skate. They can play. Bang, stick him in front of the net. You put Kieran Brown in front of any goalie, he's going to score. I'm telling you. I've seen goal scorers over the years. They have something that other guys, they just don't. And he's got that. I saw it from 11 years old, and I was always like, I want to see him get tested. And then you see him come to the National League, and he just does exactly the same thing. And you're like, okay, maybe he's that good. Let's see what he's like next year. And then he just blows by his targets. And then the first 8 games this year, he had 3 hat-tricks.
Isn't he on 27 points in 10 games? Or I read that. The issue with Kieran Brown is who's going to pay him what Leeds pay him in the Elite League and give him the minutes straight away?
Anyone who's clever.
But they're not going to, are they? Because we're not going to do that on a Brit. And then if he doesn't score in a game, it's straight to the third line.
Yeah,
fourth line.
Sign a guy out of fucking U Sports then and see how that works out for you.
That's what will happen. People. This league won't change. They'll see Kieran Brown and then go, "How much you want at league?" We'll give you 400, and you'd be like, "No, that's not happening." So I think you're right in the sense that if he is to go anywhere, it needs to be Europe.
Yeah,
I think for him, you just have to be the whole Stingrays and take the gamble on fucking Bouncy.
Nailed it.
You just have to be and you know who gets fuck all out of that? Whole Stingrays. The benefit of that is the Cardiff Devils now. And I don't think Kieran goes to leave a winning organization to join Dundee. He's not doing a top.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not doing that. Like, if Belfast Giants come, but you got to look at the guys that have gone recently, or gone the other way. Let's say the 2 guys that just come down, Ross Venus, Luke Farrar. Is he better than them? Yes. Matt Hayward, is he better than him? Yes. Barry McKenzie, is he better than him? Yes. Craig Peacock, is he better than him? Yes. These are all good players. Craig Peacock's like the fucking 6th top highest Elite League scorer ever in terms of goals. Kieran Brown is better than him.
Yeah. But that's a good example because Peacock was a young kid in Peterborough, wasn't he?
And Belfast
doing this. Yeah. And to be fair to Belfast at the time, he was out there penalty killing, taking penalty shots. I mean, I remember that guy. He must have taken like 8 against Cardiff and scored them all. Like, who the fuck's this idiot? Do you know what I mean? He was quite frustrated at the time because he was a young kid from Peterborough in a team stacked with imports. He was the one guy that they send out killing. He scored like a short-handed goal or a penalty shot every time. And that's because they gave him a chance. And he then turned into a GB international, a mainstay of, for many, many years. And because they took a punt on him. But the more we increase the imports numbers and stuff, the lack of respect for the Brits just gets more and more and more. At the end of the day, I'm sure if certain teams could get their choice and have 20 imports, no Brits, that would suit them pretty much. Do you know what I mean? But as a fan, you still want to see local boys getting a shot. And whether he was on a multi-year deal in Leeds, I'm assuming he would have been in the summer when obviously Paul Alex, obviously sadly passed. To me, I thought, okay, this is a time when he's bring him back. Even if he's got a contract at Leeds, do some sort of deal, they can bring him back. And then let's get him in Elite League now. Okay, Shudro, of course, has got that gig anyway, but it's a shame because he's so good. The bits I've not seen anywhere near as much as you've seen, obviously, but he's a goal scorer. Like you say, you can't teach scoring goals at whatever level you're playing at. If you can find the net, you can find the net. And you see teams bringing in like some guy from U Sports who played like 15 games last year, scored 2 points.
Fucking 2 points.
What's the point? Wwhat's the point?
You've got
what is the point? Like, I don't understand it. Like Guildford, they got successful with it like 1 out of 4 years. So everyone else started following the mold and bringing these guys over. Guess what? They're not as good as guys that come out the fucking SHL. Yeah. They're just not. You're not going to get a guy that played in the DEL. It's levels, Slovak Extra League, whatever league you want to start picking. You pick Finland, you pick Russia, you pick wherever. You're going to get a better hockey player than you are coming out of U Sports. Now, do you get a good hockey player coming out of U Sports and Canadian College? Yes, you do. Of course you do. But you're taking a gamble on that. So take a gamble on the kid that lives down the fucking street.
Exactly. No visa, to get no flights and stuff. All adds up. You might be getting extra 200 quid a week, but you had an additional cost of bringing a guy over. It evens itself out pretty much.
Let me tell you, all fans love a Brit.
Absolutely.
You will sell. So let's say Kieran, like Scott, you said come for 4. Okay, well, let's say I know what he's on the lead, so I'm not going to say. But let's say he's on almost double, almost double, 1.5 times that, whatever. You're going to sell fucking 500 Kieran Brown jerseys that you pay 26 quid for and sell for 85. Yeah, you times that number by the 60 quid profit you're making per jersey, and there you go. That'll pay his extra wages. You took a gamble, and then guess what? He lights it up, and then you can go actually back to the table the next year and go, we're going to pay you more than you're on this year because you're more than worth it. And then before you know it, you have a Dowdy. You have
that's what I was going to say.
You have a clubman, and you have a guy like that. Well, they had loads. They had Jonathan Phillips, they had Dowdy, they had Oki for a while. They had good top end Brits that had been established names in the Elite League and the national team.
Because I was going to say, Robert Dowd's 35. I mean, I can't see him going anywhere. He still looks 25, and he's still putting the points up. But that's that will come to an end at some point. Cardiff with Pete in GB coach, with Duggan Davis, you don't know where that's going to go. Oh, Josh Waller, a hell of a player, but that's an avenue you can go down. Belfast have got Kieran Long, but then the Brits wise, forward wise, they're not got that guy. It's whether Kieran wants to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to Todd Kelman in Cardiff. God, when was that? 18 months to a year ago. He was like, I'd sign Josh Waller on a 10-year deal if I could. I was like, yeah, no fucking shit, you would, because that kid's trajectory is like this. Like it's just going.
He's got to go Europe.
He's the best British player we have to play the European game. His skating is top 3 in the Elite League.
Oh, easily. He looks like an import. Coach
had him on the 4th line last year, though.
Who?
The coach last year played him 4th line minutes.
Yeah, and that's why they won. Fuck all. Like, the thing is, it's daft because you look at a player like Josh. He was cutting his teeth with Guildford. He's obviously gone on to Cardiff, and then you put him in the fucking top 2 lines at GB National. You're like, oh shit, son! Like this kid he was dominant at that level. He's gonna be good in Europe. One that's gone the other way. Matt Cowlett, and I only tie them 2 together because I had them both at conference level. Great junior teammates, players, friends. Matt's come down, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, "He's always been this good. It's just you need to use him in the right situations." And he's gone to Leeds. He's got to play with players where he's going to get reps. Obviously, the league's easier than the Elite League. There's no doubt about that. But he's another one. Like, why are we letting these guys slip through the fucking net?
He's in Dundee last year. Was it Dundee?
Yeah.
Or the year before?
Yeah. The only one trying in Dundee as well.
And from what I read on their Facebook groups, Instagram pages, posts, and all the other shit, when he left, that was kind of the vibe. why are we letting him go? He's the only one that gives a shit. Like, he's working his bag off every night. Like, and the fans were confused. And then I interviewed him on here last year, and he showed me around his apartment in Leeds, and I was like, "Yep, I'd have left too." Just mate. Because the other thing is, these guys are fucking human. This is their job. Like, all of a sudden, you've gone from sharing a 3-4 bed house with a fucking couple of imports or whatever, playing limited minutes, limited situations. Now you're in your swanky brand new 1-bed apartment. You're playing top 6 minutes. You're on every PP. You're getting paid more money. Oh, I wonder what I would rather do. And you get to win trophies instead of finishing fucking 9th.
Do you not think Leeds will be pressured though, like Guildford was, to step up?
Guildford got the richest owner in the league.
I know, but it wasn't. Yeah, but he never
Guildford.
He never wanted to step up. It was always said he didn't want. He didn't care. I've heard that he said he'd just have the rink empty and just play the team because he could.
Because he can. And he
yeah, but do you not think their fan base will eventually go like Milton Keynes did?
No.
And that ended up in a shit show. Do you not feel, or do you feel like Leeds were just happy to do what they want?
I really don't. They don't have a big enough facility to compete. That's the problem.
No, they don't. No.
Now, if they had a Nottingham, then yeah, I think they would 1,000% step up. I think Steve Snell would be the man to take them there. Ryan Aldridge would be the guy to coach them there, and I think it would be lovely to see the full transition from basically the Okanagan Hockey Academies when the Wildcat situation to Leeds Knights, to Leeds Knight being an elite league team, and Ryan Aldridge finally getting back to the elite league after being coach in Basingstoke. Would love to see it. Do I think it's realistic? No. I would rather see someone bring in hockey to a new market personally. Whether that, and maybe that's better cut at like National League, because this is a question we get asked a lot. Maybe it's better cut at National League, but we talk about like the rinks that have gone, Southampton, Bournemouth. There's no rink down that way. We're missing out on like such a talent pool of human beings. We're just going to go, oh no, right, from Cornwall down, fuck that lot. There could be some of the best athletes that fit hockey, but we'd never know because we've never bothered building an ice rink down there. We've never bothered having an ice rink in Southampton, Bournemouth way for 30 years. I'm sure up north it's the same. I'm sure, like, why do we only have fucking Cardiff? Why do we only have Belfast? Where are the other rinks in and around these facilities? So why does Swansea not have an ice rink? Why does Dublin not have an ice rink?
Trust me, you don't want to see that.
No, but
the first time I've probably like European style rioting in hockey in this country.
Love it. Let's go. Sign me up.
It'd be like
Sign me up.
One person to say that to you, John.
Yeah, exactly. But like Swansea and Cardiff do not. It was the only time ever, the Masters football back in the day when you'd have like all the old sort of
guys teams.
Yeah, it was like they hosted Cardiff at Bristol City and Swansea. It lasted one season because it was all kicking off. Literally, the fans just probably rioting with each other. Everywhere else is like, really friendly, having a beer next to like be a Man United fan next to a Liverpool fan, crack on. Yeah. But Cardiff, Swansea, and Bristol, it was just chaos. Apparently, I knew to stay away.
But I just mean in terms of like putting rinks in and around the country. Danny Myers,
you're right though.
Put ozone out there. I mean, even if it has to be facilities like that, just to get people involved in the sport.
Exactly.
We don't have a huge nation. I have 65, 68 million people throughout the UK. If we chop it down into bits where it's actually got ice rinks, the percentages start to be very low. Yeah. And we're just missing out on humans. Like that's that factual. Like, imagine like there was no ice rinks in Ontario. Like that's so many fucking people. But there is ice rinks in Ontario, and they just happen to have some of the best ice hockey players on the planet. Now we miss out because I think I don't know what the number actually officially stands at, 50 plus facilities. It's not many. It really isn't that very many.
And then a lot of them are Planet Ice, and then that opens a whole new can of worms.
I'm still holding my tongue on them.
I'd rather have like less rinks than have more Planet Ice rinks.
Just touching on Planet Ice, obviously we're going to get into some controversial subjects in this podcast. So what better way to start with Planet Ice? Obviously, I've had plenty to say about them over the years. You just jokingly touched on that there, Scott, about the Planet Ice, but I mean, they are a fucking piss take, top to bottom. I mean, Basingstoke, they pulled Basingstoke out of the National League. Not one thing's been done to that rink. We're now sitting on the 9th of the 11th. Not a thing's been done. It's November. So the season finished in April. And they were talking about getting those boys back in for next year. Let's face it, it's not going to happen. Coventry, we're seeing the attendances dwindle from being a packed house in the Calder days to, one man and his dog. Nothing's done there. Peterborough, the place has fucking fallen down. Solent and Gosport's a cesspit. Invicta is a shithole. Altrincham, we've already touched on Altrincham. But they have a huge amount of money in the game. They have so many ice rinks, which means so many games. But the point I wanted to bring up, and I haven't brought it up yet, I haven't addressed it. I put a tweet out on the Sunday, and it said, there is a Planet Ice team that are going to get charged £650 for ice time if they cancel their game. Now, it kind of kicked off a little bit. It went out there a little bit more than I thought it would. And I get a phone call from Matt Lloyd from Planet Ice. And to be fair to Matt, he did well because I'm a fiery character. It is the day after, it's hours after finding out about Adam. So bit raw, bit pissed off still. And the EIHA fucking pull the chute and don't cancel the game. Elite League, bravo, came out, games cancelled. Jobs are good and how it should have been done. Firm, to the point, no more games. EIHA went, well, you can kind of play if you want to, but if you don't, what was the wording? Basically, you need a fucking good reason not to play, and the two teams have to agree.
Yeah, but it was like a moral reason to not play. It was a silly wording, but we read it, and I thought, God, the Elite League is a dream.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, if they had any sense, they probably deleted it. But I couldn't believe they came out and did that, first of all. So then to get that from the National 2 team, these guys are fucking pay to play. They pay 90, 100 quid a month for ready to play. They got jobs, they got kids, they got other things going on. You're then going to charge them 650 quid if they don't feel like playing an ice hockey game today. Quite understandably. I mean, I had players reaching out from every level across the country saying to me, "What? I don't want to go to fucking ice today. I don't play. I want to stay at home with my missus and my kids, or I want to go to work." Like, even some of the lads were like, I'd rather just go to work, go, build a shelf and fucking hammer a hole in something and just not think about being on ice, especially at NIHL 2 level. So anyway, I get the phone call from Matt Lloyd. And as I said, he did well because the first 15 seconds of that conversation, I'd be very surprised if he got a word in. And I just basically, and I said to him, and to be fair to Matt, he goes, "What team is it?" So I told him which team it is. I said, why are you asking me which team it is? I was like, are you not in communication with the clubs that play out of your rinks? He's like, "To be fair, mate, I've been out with the dog all morning, just got back, just seen this. You could have called me, whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, probably journalistic issue. I'm not a journalist, mate, but if I am, I probably should have called you. But I'm also a players podcast, and if I get many players reaching out saying they're about to get bent over, then guess what? I'm going to have their back." And Matt goes on, and he says, "Well, I haven't heard anything about it." And to be fair, it kind of sounds like the EIHA maybe shafted him a little bit. I'm not going to say what they said because I don't want to put words in Matt's mouth on the podcast because that's not fair. But anyway, I just said, listen, don't be a coward piece of shit. The fucking EIHA have been a bunch of cowards. If you want to end this conversation on a positive note, what you can do right now for me is ring every team that plays out of your rink and say, no matter what EIHA or anybody else says, if you boys cancel your games today, there'll be no charge from us. I was like, that would be a fucking good thing to do. He goes, right, what, you got a wrong end of the stick on a few things, which I did have. I said, okay, would you like me to take the post down? And he says, no, you won't. So I put an extra post out saying, I've just been informed that Planet Ice will not By the way, I don't think he actually agreed to that on the conversation. I'm not sure if he did. I pushed hard for it. But anyway, and I'm saying, just do that. Just do it. Just do it. Like, be the guy. Take control. So these situations need people to take control, not be a fucking pussy about it. Just go out and take control. Say, look, you don't have to do this. We can swallow the ice time. It's one day, good faith, whatever it is. Just think of the community. And to be fair to Matt, he was spot on the phone. He was spot on the phone. Now, we hang up. The phone rings again, and it's Matt again. And he goes, "What? You just wanted to let you know that game's cancelled. Ice time's done." I was just like, fair play to you, lad, because I did say I would take the post down, but I did go out and inform that Planet Ice wouldn't do that. But my issue stems with, in their announcement of their condolence to Adam Johnson, it was 2 lines about Adam Johnson and 4 paragraphs about 4,000 and counting. Now, I felt disgusted personally that what I'd said had somehow made its way into a fucking condolence for Adam Johnson, because that's not what I'm about. And I can't believe they put it in the same post. That's what I was going to ask you boys about. What's your take on that? Because I don't know if you heard about it in your circles, but from the people that were tweeting at us, they were like, "Oh my God, I cannot believe this has just happened. I cannot believe they've used this platform, this announcement to do that," and then turn the comments off.
Well, I've seen it, and I've been the last few weeks. When you're away in some of your videos, I'm like, Jesus Christ, Nicky, what's going on here? Because you are emotional. You fly off the handle sometimes.
Yeah,
I'll say that to you. But I didn't get their thought process that day to even mention you in that sense, because it just put them in a bad light to say, "Oh, this is not our fault. Let's divert." So I just thought it was bizarre and silly by them, but in the same sense, I'm not surprised. And also, I think was there a game?
I was actually surprised, mate. I thought, you handle that in 2 separate posts. If you didn't need to respond to me online, because I'd spoke to Matt in person. I'd offered to take the thing off. You told me not to. I didn't push any more buttons on that. So that's either done on that conversation when you tell me not to take it down, or it's not. But then you pay your respects to Adam, and then you fucking put a post out about me. Come at me, that's fine.
But they screwed up earlier on in the season with the whole Steel Dog situation, and that shablam. When you read that press report about the whole this 50,000 malarkey, and you read it, and
I've
then
still not done my piece on that yet, mate.
You can read it 3 times and not have a clue what they're doing. They act out of emotion, which we're all guilty of. So
yeah,
I'm not surprised. I don't know what John thinks.
Yeah, I'm kind of emotional guy. Listen, I'm going to be crap on this part of the pod, because I spent most of that Sunday afterwards trying to avoid being on Twitter and not see the video. That's just me being, me. So most times I don't miss much, and I tend to have an opinion, as you all know. But on that particular one, I was kind of literally in my room, kind of just avoiding Twitter as best I can. So that went over my head a little bit, boys, unfortunately. So I'm glad Scott, you can at least give some content on it. But yeah, I mean, I've got a respect for Planet Ice. I watch games in Cardiff for how many years and see the facility just get worse and worse and worse. And I was also part of a sort of stakeholders group when the rink was going to be moved to the new one, and I was maybe privy to a lot of information that perhaps maybe we shouldn't have been. Where we told a lot of stuff about Planet Ice and how disruptive they were being and stuff, which I understand to some extent. They're losing their nice little nest egg of money coming in from Cardiff every weekend, and it probably wasn't well received by them. But yeah, other than me speaking in general terms, I'm not a big, massive Planet Ice fan. I don't really know a lot about that, I'm afraid. But unfortunately, boys, I can't really add much to that one.
Well, this thing that got me the most, I'm going to throw my missus under the bus now. Get off the phone to Matt. Hang it up. And my missus is the nicest, most placid fucking person. I've never thrown a punch in anger, Ballet teacher, sort of, feminine. get off the phone to Matt, and they charged me £1,200 for that swimming pool for the charity game last year. I got off the phone. I was like, "Yeah, it's Matt." She goes, "Yeah, he's a prick." And I was like, actually, to be fair, it took some stones for him to call me, man. It did, and I like I said, I'm a fiery person, and I have fuck all to lose. I work for me. This podcast is for me. Who are you going to go and report me to?
Yeah.
I don't want to have a toxic relationship with Planet Ice. I really don't. But there's some of the stuff they do to friends of mine who still play, which I have a platform I'm going to call out. And there's other, well, we both have a platform, and that brings me to my next point. Touched about it very, very, very briefly on my podcast, and I know you boys maybe went a little bit more in depth on it on yours, but we had the Bob Westerdale incident, which caused Twitter fucking meltdown because he shared a picture of the incident. Now, John, you're not the only man I know that is avoiding that video like the plague. There is many. Now, like myself, I'm sure there was thousands of others. Bob has a pretty wide reach that clicked on Twitter that night and saw that picture.
Yeah.
And mate, I'm strong stomach. I'm a tough old boy. I know the risks and I've been there. Doesn't mean I want to go and see a picture of a man dying, or at the very, very, very least fighting for his life with every ounce of fucking being in his body. The first responders there, in the horrible situation they've got put in, they probably don't want that all over social media. Their mums and dads probably don't want to see them at work doing what they do. Their mums and dads know what they do for work. Doesn't mean they want to see them do it. You know, if your son's a fireman and he goes to cut people out of fucking car wreckages, you know he does it. You don't want to watch him do it. Like, there's just then the fans that were in the building who have gone outside. Normally, you know, the Panthers put a tweet out. I think it was the last tweet of the night. 35 minutes gone. Been a major incident. We've asked the fans to leave the building. That was the last you heard from them. There was no photo. Peter Spencer, he put a post out saying, you know, been an injury, catastrophic injury. It's really bad, or whatever. I'm putting words in his mouth. That's not his exact tweet, so don't come at me. But you get the idea. Bob puts a picture out. Now, Bob's words, what he wrote, absolutely fine. Explained the incident. I don't know where the breakdown in his fucking mental communication was that he thought he needed to add a picture for it. Now, the arsehole in me would say he did it for clicks, because it's a click-based world now. The more reserved guy in me just said, "Old man fucked up with social media technology. You probably shouldn't touch him." And there's a few of them in their Sheffield situation that we're going to get onto in a minute. But where did you boys sit on the initial thing? And then where did you sit on the fact that he sat on it for 2 days? Simsy came out, tried to protect him first. And then Dean, bless him, Dean shouldn't be getting involved. Stick taking photos, mate. We all like you. Go back to taking photos and being a good guy. Don't get involved in this internal politics bullshit that goes on there. You had him. And then to come out in the Star and fucking double down, man. Like, I couldn't believe it. I read it. I was one of the first to read it. I got you bookmarked, Mr. Bob, for all the fucking dumb shit you say. You give me some content every week. But go on there and bang, he's doubled down. And then he tripled down. And then he posts the Latin post that basically, I think it roughly translates into, you know, don't let the bastards get you down. But instead of putting "this is for Matt Petgrave" in the main post, he puts it as a comment, as the first comment, like you would share a link underneath. I was like, Bob, no one's fucking reading that bit. All they've just read is you've posted that. So you got the initial incident, the double down, the triple down, and then that, and he deletes his profile. Boys, I know you didn't want to beat on it too much on your own podcast, but mate, it's an emotive subject, and there's a lot of people that are pissed off, especially Sheffield Steelers fans, saying that they won't go back in the rink if he's a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I probably took the lead on this in the pod. I'm probably the one person that's sort of said the most on it. like you say, the photograph is, to me, is just inexcusable, absolutely inexcusable. And this crap about, yeah, I'm a reporter. Yeah, SAP Spencer mentioned the incident, didn't go into detail. Jonathan Fernley didn't go into detail on the commentary. That photograph was exactly what he said. It was just to get clicks and to get retweets and likes and just to get his name out there. I'm not buying for 1 second he didn't realize the sort of seriousness of the situation. I mentioned on our pod
I
that,
know you said haven't seen the video, John. I've seen the full video. Within 0.6 of a second,
yeah,
that it is, and I didn't realize until I watched it back the second time. When I went to bed that night, wondering if he would wake up in the morning, I hadn't seen the video.
yeah.
Had I seen that video, I would have went to bed knowing that there is zero chance that this man is going to be waking up tomorrow morning. So that should tell you something.
100%. I mean, I was obviously out with my daughter. It's the first game I haven't actually watched this year. Just by pure fluke, I was out, just being completely selfish. I got back, and obviously my missus had said what gone on, and I knew it was bad. So I said to the boys obviously group were in, Scott and I was just blowing up. I said, boys, I haven't seen a single thing tonight. Do I want to go scrolling back? I said, I'm not going to see anything too bad. John, it's in there. So okay, I knew right there, don't even touch any messages. Just leave be what's happened in the previous 2 or 3 hours, wherever it was. And from what's being described by people I know and trust, as you say, at that point, when the photograph was taken, there was enough blood, enough bad images in people's minds to know that he was seriously, seriously in trouble. And again, the point I made on the pod, the biggest thing that you said, the fact he shared it and like families and stuff would have seen their kids, which are their kids, trying to get the guy back to life. And my missus said, John, that trauma has been spread way beyond the facility now. It's not just guys in the rink who saw it, just people watching the webcast. Anywhere in the world, that could get shared within seconds. It could be all over the world and people to see in that image. And again, I haven't seen it. And the fact he didn't own it. He came out the next day and he doubled down. So I'm not buying, other than it was just to try and get some notoriety and to get some clicks. He's an older guy. He made a mistake. Well, come out and say, I fucked up then. Come out the next day and say, I fucked up in whatever polite words you want to say. Don't come out and tell me, I've been a journalist for X amount of years. We heard this before, time and time and time again. The guy is just, listen, I don't like the guy personally, but based upon reputation of what I read myself, what I see myself, I don't respect the guy at all. No respect for him whatsoever. But for whatever reason, Sheffield still seem to have him in the facility. He's still the official representation of Sheffield when it comes to anything in terms of the media. He gets all these 6 o'clock in the morning crap, signings and stuff.
Well, John, for me, he fucked Alex Graham over, yeah?
Go on.
You're fucking dead to me. Like, you fucked Alex Graham over when we knew, everybody in the country knew what Alex did when he went away. Not a single person says it. Who's the first person to say it? Bob.
Yeah, and there we go.
And then
he's got previous.
And that was in his Star article. That's the only thing we can find, because guess what? The stuff that he put on Twitter from back then, he deleted when Alex signed for the fucking Steelers.
Exactly does.
Deleted it. And I know for one that he's told an ex-pro information about Alex that I think is disgusting. That was why my tweet was so from the heart. And guess what? I bet there's a few people in that Sheffield Steelers fan base that probably felt very strongly, if that was their brother, that was their sister, that was their mum, that was their fucking dad.
100%.
And you just tweeted it online like it was nothing. Like, no, sorry.
Exactly that. Like, it's no thought for friends, family that would have seen it. Okay, apparently his dad and his aunt was watching it, and that must have been horrendous.
Oh,
that is just, I can't imagine that's the worst thing ever. And his partner and stuff was obviously over here. But if you've heard that story, or if you can call it story, and you've heard the incident, for example, and you're a teammate from back in the, back home, you go on Twitter and that's there within seconds, and you've seen that image. Fuck off, Bob. I mean, that's just disgusting. And even without even seeing it, I know from what has been described to me that the content of it, like, where's the humanity in this person? Where's the compassion? Just to get, that's not a journalistic thing to do at all. Report on the incident by all means. But you're spreading images that you do not need to. You're not a photographer. meant to be a writer. Why are you doing that? And I don't repeat myself too much from what I said, the other day, because I probably maybe a little bit more calmed down, believe it or not. Now I'm probably more angry the other day. And I was probably a bit more raw emotion than
Man after my own heart, John.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to shoot from the hip. Everyone who knows me knows that's how I am, and I tend to reflect a little bit. But then, if things that piss me off get brought up again, it pisses me off over again. But it's like almost I can't sort of almost quantify the same amount of anger that the second time as the first time.
My bad.
No, so yeah, I'm glad we're going to talk about. We have to talk about it.
Though, mate,
we have to talk about it, and people like him have to be taken to task. Simple as, because there's people who pander to these guys, whether it be fans, wherever, the cronies up there. They'll not have a bad word said. They want to be in with a clique in Sheffield or whichever club they're in. But people do bad shit, then you should be accountable for doing bad shit.
Mate,
there was none.
I gave like interviews. I remember when I was a player, give an interview after the game, and then you read it in the fucking paper on Tuesday, and you'd be like, "Don't fucking say that." And then you look, and they're quoting you on shit, and I'm like, "I never said that." But what are you going to do, mate? By the time you've done that, especially in this day and age, it's right out in the media. Scott, what's your kind of take on it? Because
that wasn't our first dealings with Bob. We had dealings as our podcast a month prior, because there was Steal the Puck.
Ooh, I saw this, yeah.
Yeah, so suddenly Bob and Dave woke up, and Bob messaged us to say how great he was as a reporter and how he gets so much people have backed me in this year. So I don't agree with what you said, but I really enjoy your content. And then a week later, his whole star article was our podcast and our quotes about the Sheffield Steelers and Panthers rivalry. So whatever, Bob, you use us. We don't care. We do this for fun.
Yeah.
If he made a genuine mistake in the heat of the moment, I can accept that. What I can't accept is the double, triple, quadruple down and the ignorance from him. And now to delete his Twitter and not own it.
I'm not being rude, by the way, if anyone's watching. I am still listening to Scott. I'm looking for the specific tweet that I want to talk to you about.
He also said, in the whole of this time, Matthew Petgrave has reached out to me.
That's the tweet I was looking for.
Are you fucking serious?
That's the tweet I was looking for. I could not
fucking
believe
so
that.
That just sums it up. Simsy sticking up from Simsy messaged us saying, "Oh, when do you want me on?" And we were like, "Well, we haven't asked you in the whole time we were doing the podcast, but we spoke to the people. We thought, you know what, if we could ask him some questions because he's been in the news a bit." And then he backed him, and we just thought, you know what, we don't need that. We're a fans podcast.
Yeah.
And me, David, and John, we've been around long enough to know the ins and outs of a lot, and it's not good for us to have him on. But it is. We always say that old boys club.
It's a shame you backed him, mate, because he is a good guest. I've interviewed Simsy 3 times, and in terms of podcast stuff, asking questions and someone just having stories to go, like to hand, he is perfect. But then
Nicky, I've heard them all though, mate.
I was going to say, then he does this, and I want to read it out. So for anybody that is watching, you'll better see Scott's frustration. For anyone that's listening, you might not be able to tell. So I'm going to tell you for why. So Ginge, MNL, that's his Twitter handle, tweets out, the right decision being made with Nottingham withdrawing from the Challenge Cup and the Sheffield Steelers swapping out the jerseys from the Halloween raffle. Hopefully the Steelers do a U-turn, though, regarding swapping out replica Halloween jerseys, or at least issue a small credit against other jerseys. Okay, that's what's been tweeted out. And in fairness to Simsy, everybody that screenshotted this has kind of taken it out of context, because he did respond to it. It wasn't a specific post. He didn't put it out as a tweet, but the reading's none the better. Simsy says, that decision Nottingham has just made will cost the Sheffield Steelers, the Sheffield Steelers, upwards of £80,000 and a season ticket game that will have to be found elsewhere. Yet you want the club to swallow that and another £15,000 to £20,000 on the shirt situation. It comes across to the untrained eye, or to anybody that's not no, that Adam Johnson's life are evidently worth less than a fucking $100,000, because that's the feel that Twitter is on right now. So that's what Scott was pissed off about. I'll let you go back to that, Scott, because you wanted to talk about earlier.
Yeah, he's reacted to the news about Nottingham playing a game, hasn't he? The exhibition game, and then pulling out the Challenge Cup, and that's what he's alluding to. And he's responded to a fan's tweet and just fucked up. And guess what? The tweet's been deleted. Obviously, there's been conversations with Nottingham and Sheffield over the last couple of days, and they thought, do you know what? You're losing us money now, and that's how he's reacted. Do I understand that Sheffield might be annoyed in the fact that Nottingham have decided to play a game? Put cards on the table. I'm taking emotional out of it.
Let's go.
They probably have a say in that, but they've gone about it the wrong way. They've let their mouthpiece, who's been their mouthpiece for 30 years and said multiple things, racist, homophobic, gets away with everything. He's obviously clearly very valuable in some way to the Sheffield Steelers. And that's why he's still around. That's why Bob Westerdale has been around for 27 years.
Yeah, this guy, all the stories are probably hiding.
This guy gets away with it time and time again. If that was Tony Smith, he should be on the phone to David Simms and say, just, when your Twitter got hacked, keep it away. Just go back to your announcing and doing your videos. He's done one video for the Sheffield Steelers this year. That got deleted because he took the piss out of the French. It's just not working.
I thought it was fucking funny. Like, Mark sent it into the group, right? And I am even
in 2023 though, Nicky, you can't do it.
Yeah, but I still sit and watch fucking Only Fools and Horses, mate. So it is what it is. So I get my favorite comedian is Billy Connolly. Like, my comedies, the people that make me laugh are from that kind of era. It was a bit of satire. What I don't understand is when they fucking watched it before they put it out, someone went, do you know what I mean? When you're sitting around a table and there's like,
send.
Or you put it in the group chat. And no one went, nah. Just nah. Don't even have to say much more than that. You just go, nope. I'm sorry, Dave. That's not the one. You fucking missed it on that one.
Try again.
That's what I said at the start. I was like, look, it's a bit of satire that's gone wrong. He deleted it. They should have never posted it. But I also, me and Mark spoke about it. I was like, imagine the football fans, though, if this happened and there was as much of an outroar about one club talking shit about another club, because that's what they fucking do. They do this shit on a weekly basis, yet the ice hockey fans were like, oh my God, he's racist. And I mean, what he said in the past doesn't help.
He is.
That's the problem, isn't it? Exactly, because his previous is so bad. He's had some massive high profile cock-ups, if we want to call them politely.
The homophobic one was
the homophobic one. That homophobic one went global. That was the one.
In the fucking rink, you can't do that when you're on the
exactly. It went as far as like literally all over the world. It literally made like headline news all over the world, and he dodged that bullet, Teflon. So, listen. At the end of the day, he only knows the reasons why.
How does he dodge? How does he dodge the bullet?
Well, he's been around a long time. I'm sure he's seen a lot of things over the years, heard a lot of things over the years. He's got like a bit of a black book, maybe, of things he doesn't want, but other clubs maybe not want to come out. Maybe that's the reason why. I'm sure that's the reason why, to be fair. No one doubts his love for the game. I booked the fucking guy, 10 years ago, whatever it was, for Jared Adams' testimonial. I was on the committee there, and at the time, he was doing his speeches and stuff, and it's before a lot of the things he's done since, admittedly. A lot of things he's done have been since then with the homophobia and the racism and stuff, And yeah, he's a good storyteller. But then, as you say, like Scott said, times are different now. You can't behave and act the way you did. I'm not too far off him in terms of age. I grew up in an era where words would get dropped in conversation, which would even be questioned. It was just the way it was. But that's the thing, is the way it was. It's not the way it is now. Yeah. You cannot have that kind of mentality in 2023, even in 2022, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Even 10 years ago, the world is ever evolving. And we talk about people having mental health issues and obviously anxiety and stuff, because they can't be themselves with people out there judging them for what they are, with their skin color, their ethnicity, their gender, whatever. And you have to learn. You have to just maybe educate yourself. Are my views right, or am I maybe a little bit archaic now? How I think, and he doesn't educate himself. He doesn't learn. And I spoke to a guy like dozens of times over the years, wherever games. He's a passionate guy. He loves the game, but he's not good for the game anymore. He's more of a hindrance than a help. No one can doubt his enthusiasm on a match night. He's always selling tickets and stuff, and he's always trying to make money for the club. He loves the club, but he just doesn't know when to shut his mouth.
So, you said he wouldn't. You don't think he's good for the game. Now, I think like the evenings with Simsy and all that are good for the game because you know what, he's a polarizing figure, and you know, like a night like Jared's night, you probably sell fucking 150 tickets at £10 a pop, and it's 1,500 quid in a pot. You ask him to do anything for charity, and he jumps in with things like that. So he could be used. But do you think it's maybe more of a time for him to be used away from social media and more like doing it? Because you know what, he's not a fucking bad guy.
No, I 100%
I
agree
had
with
the
you.
opinion that he
agree.
was, though. I had the opinion when I was in EPL, Chirp Simsy week kicked off. I thought he was the biggest cocksucker on the fucking planet. I hated him. Absolutely hated him. I thought he was just a stupid fucking house salesman from Birmingham, state agent twat that knew fuck all. And then I sat down and interviewed him for the first time. And then we spoke on air and we spoke off air. And he spoke about the situations he's been through with Paul Thompson and Solihull, and then going to Nottingham at Sheffield, and through all the different owners and different coaches and joining the league. He's actually been around a hell of a lot. He could be used very, very valuably in the right way. He probably needs a minder to go, Dave. That's a little bit 1990s, mate. You need to maybe rein that in, but maybe take him away from the Steelers limelight. And Bob's what? How old's Bob? 60s?
It's gotta be, isn't he?
How old's Simsy? Nearly 60s?
Yeah, late 50s, I guess.
Right.
I would agree with what you said, though.
Nottingham crew, though, that I'm like, you got like Dan Green and that on the commentary, 30s, 40s. The girls on the camera now, I met them all at the weekend doing the stuff behind the scenes. They're in their 20s, they're in their 30s.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fresh, it's new. They're doing shit that you won't think of because, well, I don't even think of it. I'm only fucking 5 years older than them. They're on it in a different way. Sorry, I interrupted you, John.
That's okay. I agree. I in the past have defended the guy. Like, he's had this reputation for many, many years, and people have hated him for whatever reason, whether it be just he's a Sheffield guy, and especially in Cardiff. I say, no, he's actually a good guy. You know, often like we'll be just chatting shit, just selling tickets to me, going to a game, wherever. And I like his passion, but he's just, unfortunately, he involves himself in too much stuff he shouldn't be getting involved in. You know, at the end of the day, he's a rink announcer, but somehow he's going to all these different things like league fixtures meetings, and he gets to know a lot of stuff. And good for him. If that's what gets him going, good for him. But he's holding them back at times. As you say, they're not in them, you know, media people. They're all young. They're all fresh. They've got different things. And that's because that's the way it is now. It's not like it was 30 years ago.
Well,
even
Oliver Hampson in fucking Cardiff, outstanding work.
Yeah, exactly. And this guy, but then this guy's qualified to do it. He's gone to university. You know, this guy has really pushed himself on in the last 5 years.
His work is money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but well, I know him really well. I know his dad very, very well. One of my best mates is his dad, one of my best mates. But he was just like a normal guy, just working in a rink and stuff. He worked for the club, and he went and bettered himself. He educated himself. Going back to this thing with David, he wouldn't go back to university at his age. He's good at what he does in his day job. He sells houses. That's his bread and butter. But just pass the baton on to somebody else. No one doubts he's good for Sheffield. No one doubts he's in the respect of he'll do anything for the club. He really will. But he does not need to be front and center when it comes to the media side of things. My missus is a Sheffield fan. She'll literally go to Nottingham rather than go to Sheffield to not give that club money. She'll watch them away, but she won't go to watch the home games because, you know, the things that they do and say, it just pisses her off. And I kind of get it because, you know, it's her club at the end of the day, and sometimes their reputation's tarnished. And I just think that, yeah, there's a place for him in the club, but not in terms of media side of things. Just David, the 3 months you're away, wherever he was over the summer, okay, it was enforced. You didn't make any mistakes because you couldn't. The second you got your Twitter back, you scored own goals everywhere. And it's a shame because, again, not doubting his passion for the game. He's a knowledgeable guy. He's got a lot of stories. He's been around a long, long time. But it doesn't mean to say that you get free reign to do what you want to. It really doesn't. You have to sometimes just take a stock back and say, am I right still to be the person that is representing the club when it comes to putting out social media posts because he's not. He's
The
not.
spotlight's on. The spotlight is on Sheffield right now. They are the biggest club in the UK. But
Yeah.
let's not make no bones about that. They have got a very big fan base, and their fan base is hurting right now.
Oh,
And their fan
definitely.
base is really pissed off with his latest tweet, and they're really pissed off with Bob Westerdale. And at some point, the fans are going to go, "Do you know what? I'm not having these two." So that whole club ownership need to put a lid on it. I'm not saying get rid of David Simms. I'm not saying that because I've met him a few times on a personal level as well. It's just sometimes he's very frustrating, and there's only so many. How many strikes do you get?
Nikki, do you think they do it for like attention? Do you think that they get a kick out of being talked about? Do you think that they know what they're doing is going to antagonize? It's going to be controversial. It's going to get coverage.
I don't know because, like you, John, I'm a straight shooter. Anyone that's ever played with me, anyone that's ever worked with me, anyone that's ever PT'd with me, whatever. I'm a straight shooter. I know some of the shit that I'm going to say is going to be controversial, but I don't say it to be controversial. I just say some of the shit that people are thinking don't have the fucking balls to say. Yeah. Whereas I think they say some shit and then go, oh, we shouldn't have said that. Mate, I had David Simms' tweet screenshotted fucking 15 seconds after he sent it. I just happened to be on Twitter, but that's how the fucking internet works.
Exactly.
That is how the internet works. You don't get takeaways. You can't just take it away. Whereas we're having this conversation here, one of us drops a bollock, we can go, my bad, own that, shouldn't have said that, maybe spoke out of turn. That's what I said at the end of the episode I've done about Matt and Adam. Like, I didn't want to do this, and if I spoke out of turn, I'm sorry, but I wanted to get off my chest. Yeah. I'm not doing it. It's not about me, like, but I'm just saying that I wanted people to know how I felt. Like, whereas with them, is it just clickbaity? If it is, it's fucking genius. By the way, if this is all just like a Big Brother character to win the fucking 120 grand and sign off the OK magazine wedding deal, then bravo, you've played it. If you're a Tommy Fury, you went on Love Island and now you're boxing guys for 3.9 million that couldn't carry a boxer's gloves into the ring, bravo, you've completed it. You've done it. But I think enough of us are big enough and ugly enough to see through that bollocks, if that was really to be the case. I think it's naivety and stupidity over tactical genius. Because, well, my thing, I'm trying to find the tweet that I sent into the boys. I replied to Bob, and I said, as if you've doubled down. I want to. Oh, here you go. I said, as if you doubled down. A simple apology would have done it instead of trying to use boxing and F1 tragedies to cover your ass. Also saying, well, other people shared the video. Shame on them as well. A man was laying fighting for your life, fighting for his life. You could have posted without the context. He then posted something else, and like just the way he goes on about it, I'm like, I don't think Tony would have been very happy that you tweeted that. That's what I said to him. I said, I'm sure he was fucking very upset with you. Delete his shit. Like, just stop. But then, if history's taught us anything, and Simsy was actually lining Tony to come on here. I hope he does. I'd love to grill him. I think he's a big enough and ugly enough professional to come on and take some tough questions. But that would be one of the questions. The fans have voiced their concerns about Bob and David 100 times, yet nothing's ever been done. Why?
Absolutely.
It's the question on everyone's lips.
It really is.
We'll put our conspiracy theories together, but we all kind of probably think the same thing. Do they know too much?
Well, that's the takeaway I've got from it. And the irony is, I know Sean really well. Like Sean, like Tony's boy, Sean, class guy. I've dealt with him so many times over the years. Probably the best guy I've dealt with, legit in the league. Absolutely incredible guy.
I don't know about him.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, he do deals for me and stuff, you know, for doing like travel and stuff, and never once for the price of it all the years took plans to Sheffield. When Cardiff won stuff years ago, first text I'd get would be off him every single time. And he's a good guy. And I think that, how is he like, working alongside these people that just make his organization look bad at times, because at the end of the day, it's his dad and his business that's getting tarnished. I know maybe there's enough people to kind of come and replace fans who might not want to go anymore, but you don't want to like taint your business if you can help it. If you can control your reputation, then control it. You know, if you do not score on goals intentionally, surely, because it just brings a bad reputation to your business, your brand. And it's a well thought of opinion amongst a lot of fans of other teams. Oh, here he goes again. What he's done now? And Sheffield takes so much shit because of one person or two people. And if you just like
by the
stop
way,
them doing it,
literally one or two people.
Yeah, exactly. Because they shout the loudest, they make the most noise. And
They do a lot of good though.
They do.
And that gets overshadowed.
Yeah.
So
You know, those £8 games and everything they do. Most of the games include on a season ticket, Challenge Cup games as well, and everything like that. And the raffle for that night for the Halloween jerseys, I would have said, it's Sheffield. When COVID hit, Coventry Blaze, we had an awards night going on. No one ever asked for the money back, got that back at £10 a ticket. Well, the club might have had to pay for it, but it was never discussed. It was never muted. I think the 95% you always get that one, can have my money back for my 50-50. I don't think any real Sheffield fan would have went, what happened to my ticket for that jersey that night?
Yeah.
Everyone would have chucked it away. They've actually offered a home and away replica. Some people wanted a game one. You're going to get that. But Sheffield didn't need to do that. They could have just said, look, guys,
this is a situation.
This is a situation. Please understand. Can we move on? They didn't. Sheffield went, you can have a jersey. I know Sean's going to sort them out, but still a cost that they do good things, Sheffield.
They do a lot of things right. They're the biggest club that you see by a mile.
I thought them and Nottingham have both done fantastic throughout this entire situation. 100%. They've been brilliant.
But on that point about
it's not a slag off, but it is the words that are on people's lips that don't have a platform to talk about it, to discuss it, and we have that platform and we are doing that, and we're asking the important questions. And someone asked me the other day, what do you think about getting in these situations like Planet Ice and the EIHA and that? I don't give a shit, mate. I was like, I don't care, because the problem we have in UK hockey is from the Super League days, we stick our head in the fucking sand and nobody says anything. And then we go, that club's gone, that club's gone. They've got fucking buckets out. They've just released fucking 5 imports because they can't pay them. And then before we know it, we're back to square one again. So Shane Moore come on and spoke about the Department of Player Safety. And there were comments on saying, Shane, should you be doing this? Yes, he should, because if he doesn't, nobody else will. Shane Moore was also the first to pull the trigger on the neck guards. He forced the EIHA and SIH's hand. I think, obviously, SIH were already planning on it. I spoke to John, the chairman of SIH. They were planning on going the neck guard route. And from talking to other people, the bureaucratic situations within the IHA, no one wanted to pull the trigger. No one wanted to be like, yes, Morsey forced their hand. So if we don't have good people in the game that are willing to come out and put their head on the parapet, then we're never going to improve. And we're going to be stuck in the same old fucking ways that as sores fail on time and time and time again. Where do you boys stand on, let's go to net guards first, then we'll go to DOPS. So net guards first, SIH, EIHA, DEL, a lot of the AHL, East Coasting down for a lot of the top organizations, mandated net guards. EIHL, they didn't mandate the net guards. Let's hear your boys' thoughts on that.
Well, I think me and John are split on this. I don't think the EIHL will have. I think the Elite League have made the right decision purely on the fact of they're following advice and the advancement of equipment from where it has been 15 years ago to where it is now, the advancement of skates. I also feel like if they bring in net guards, they're kind of admitting that they failed Adam Johnson a little bit. So I feel like the research needs to be done with net guards. and then hopefully a discussion to get the players comfortable with it, and we follow IHF rules, and it then becomes a thing. But I don't feel like the Elite League putting mandatory in right now is the correct call.
Okay, John, let's hear you.
Yeah, when we had our just discussion the other day, it's a tough one because at the end of the day, like Johnson is a perfect example. He played in Sweden. He wore one last season because he had to wear one. He came over here. He didn't have to wear one. He didn't choose to wear one.
Straight off.
Exactly.
By the way, as a player with no mandated rule, I'm not wearing a neck guard. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Also,
and
I wouldn't have wore a visor if I didn't have to. If I could have went no shield, I would have went no shield. So if you do not mandate this shit, us boys are thick as shit. We will everything that's my body armor. If Wade B like hit me right now in my body armor, my fucking entire body would just disintegrate into broken bones. There is no protective anything going on in that. Nobody checks our equipment to go, yo, does that shit actually work, bro? Like, my elbow pads are older than some of the lads I was playing on the team with. These things have got like rat bites from being in the garage, and like we can't be trusted to make our own decisions.
And that's where I think it comes down to. The league can't just take that decision away from players because, as you say, it's a very macho industry. It's a very macho sport, you know. And as you say, there's probably be guys who would probably even play with that lid just to try and show how hard they are. Do you know what I mean? And that was the case back in the day in the NHL, wasn't it? Guys were skating around, you know, with no lid on. And
99 was the last season in the NHL, believe it or not.
Yeah,
that somebody didn't wear a bucket.
And you see, like, literally, you see pictures of it now, and it just looks insane.
It's not that long ago.
I remember seeing, ironically, in Basic, when Mo had his testimonial, and they had all the guys there for Steve Morris' testimonial, and they came off a warm-up with all bandanas on, like Ian Cooper and Benny Davis as a young kid and all that. And I thought, my God, this just looks so scary. Like, oh, every single player on the ice skating around. Only in a warm-up, it's like pucks hitting posts and flying off boards and stuff. And speaking to Benny after the game, he said I was shitting myself. He said skating around with like no helmet on in the warm-up, I was crapping myself. So to play a game with that one, I can imagine it. Listen, I'm not educated enough to sort of know how much it impacts on a player in terms of is it so annoying that you can't play the game the way you want to play the game? If I was given the casting vote, I'd say make it compulsory, mandatory, whatever, in time, not straight away, because at the end of the day, whilst, you know...
Let me show you something, boys. Let me show you something. All right. Here lies the issue, yeah? This is just a simple towel. I'm going to use a towel to make my point. Okay? You said, what's the issue, John? When I'm a 16-year-old kid leading the fucking entire English hockey in goals, yeah? This is the rule. Maybe let's make it a little bit narrower. This is a neck guard rule, yeah?
Mm.
You have to have a neck guard on, yeah? I'm gonna put
I'm
gonna put a bit of tape through that. And then I'm gonna put a bit of tape through that, and I'm gonna bit of tape through that. So it goes from being that size,
yeah,
to being this size. It doesn't fucking do anything. I've just taped it and put it down in my shirt. It's not doing anything. The ref comes, you got to... Yep. I got my neck guard on. That was literally, and it's probably raw for a lot of people hearing me talk this candidly about it, but we were
truth though.
We were all ignorant until what happened to Adam actually happened. It's like, oh, if you keep running across the road, you could get hit by a car. Yeah, all right. Well, if you make it over the first 25,000 times, you don't think 25,001 that you're going to get hit by that car. And then here comes a fucking Ford F-150 and you've just been run over. It does happen occasionally. Now, us lot at junior, we'd have been screwed, mate. Our neck guards weren't doing anything. They were literally down by my collarbone, tucked in. I could go to the ref. Here you go. He'd fuck off and I'd tuck it back down. It was uncomfortable. It was uncool. Now, though, with the technology they have, there's no reason for it to be uncomfortable. There's no reason for it to be uncool. There's so many like these Kevlar inserts and stuff. You could just Thomas Plekanec. The best comment I've seen out of the entire situation with neck guards is someone put Thomas Plekanec all of a sudden looks like the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah,
and I was like,
it's true.
Yeah, he does. He does look like the smartest guy in the room.
The all-in-one?
But then the EIHA is saying that's not mandated. It has to be a separate neck guard.
Oh,
No, and this is what people need to watch and learn, because before you go out and buy £75 Bauer built in, which I would personally choose.
because that
Yeah.
seems to be the route that people would like.
Yeah, well, that's
Absolutely. I think it comes
that's
down
not
to like-
legal though, boys. So they're gonna
Oh,
then have to
what?
buy it. Well, the EIHA, and quite right, fair play to the EIHA. Someone, that was the first question someone asked: will it have to be this and that on their Facebook comments? And they came straight out and responded. I don't sing their praises a lot, but they were like, no, it has to be an individual neck guard piece.
I don't think that's widely known though,
It's not, mate. There's probably
which is ridiculous. If
It
you're
is.
going to enforce something in
2
40
months.
odd days,
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? It's crazy. But like with the NHL, they brought the face mask or the visors in rather. It took obviously a couple of years to make it mandatory. Maybe it takes a couple of years, and okay, it still endangers people for the next X amount of seasons. But until they can get the technology better to make it more comfortable to wear, more flexible to play in, etc. I'm pretty sure that in the next 5-10 years it probably will be compulsory NHL down. I think it will happen because where we tend to follow the lead from what they do. Not saying I'm right, but
I think it's interesting. You think it's going to be as long as that?
yeah, but I think maybe
mate,
5. I'd say 5.
I say
start next season.
Do
you reckon?
Fraction of that. So
Really?
my friend's a very, very high profile injury sport, like injury lawyer, injury sport lawyer, so you're in a ruck in a mall and some girl fucking runs and tackles you and breaks your back and you end up crippled. She's the girl that gets you 12 million quid. You're in a car accident and someone drills you and you lose your legs. She's the girl that gets you 10 million quid. So she knows the in and outs of the duck's arsehole when it comes to this stuff. She said they will not mandate neck guards. They will not, because as soon as they mandate neck guards, especially civilly, you're liable straight away. Now, what she said that was interesting, she goes, right, it'll start there. It will start at that situation. And then it would go to the individual. So it would be a civil case against Matt. Now,
yeah.
From what she told me, the civil case against Matt would very much not be like a trial, as in, criminal court of law, getting drilled 3rd degree, but it would be an interview, and that would be him done. His stage of his whole involvement in the process would be pretty much done from the initial interview. That's him done. It then go on to be a civil case. Now, if they don't go civilly against them, they then go against the Nottingham Panthers, Sheffield Steelers. Now, if they don't go against them, they then go against the EIHL. And if they don't go against them, they go against the IIHF, who should, again, had that rule in place in the first place. They say, oh, what? So they have mandated neck guards in Sweden, do they? Yeah, why do they have that? Oh, because a guy in Sweden in the 90s died after getting... Oh, okay. So there's precedent. Mate, it's a slippery slope for them, in terms of money, financial, insurance. Another lawyer friend of mine, my client Barry, good lad, he said, who the fuck's insuring the league after this? He said, we could have a real issue that people don't actually understand is who's insuring the league, and are people going to be able to come and play here? And these are all the questions that are ultimately they're gonna play out over the next 3, 6, 9 months. But the coroner's reports come out. The coroner's suggested neck guards. My friend did say to me the fact that the coroner's come out before the inquest and said that shows how serious it is. Normally that would probably be waited for an inquest, and then the inquest would come out, and then the coroner would say, yo, you should have neck guards. The fact that the coroner's kind of come out as a public safety kind of thing and said, yo, you should be putting them on. The Elite League are in a very tough situation right now.
That was the BBC's lead point as well. Straight away, soon the coroner, and I was like, shit.
To be fair, we all said in the group, didn't we? All the boys were saying that, and we. So I say in my thing, the league is a bit of a difficult spot, really, because, like you said, if you start becoming potentially a target for lawyers, even if retrospectively you're in the shit, really. So it's a tough one. I mean, me just being like an absolute pussy, I want to just not see that in my life ever again.
Mate, not being a pussy, I don't ever want to see
but
it.
It makes sense
I want to see it.
that everything going on with the lawyers probably come in. It makes sense that the league haven't showed support for Matt Petgrave. No club has really. There's no been press release because they're probably shit scared of doing that. And as
Well,
horrible it is what it is in that sense.
from her perspective and mine, the chances of criminally convicting him for this are next to zero.
Yeah, absolutely.
The chances to civilly win a case against him are 95, 98% slam dunk. Like, whether it be Matt, whether it be the EIHL, whether it be the Steelers, the Panthers, or the IHF, from like a lawyer speak,
it's probably coming, isn't it?
They're looking at that going,
we're not surprised by that though.
That's
are we?
that's a nice commission.
It's who you target, though, isn't it? Who the target's going to be.
How do they deal with it? That's the interesting thing, because like you said, there has been no real strong stance on protecting Matt or supporting Matt, although he did turn up at the vigil and evidently everybody was, super kind to him. It's just a real shit situation. And it's just funny how this episode keeps coming back to that subject. We started with it, we're going to probably kind of finish with it here, but there's so much in and around it that things are going to happen. Like I asked her the question. I said, obviously we are in mid-November, let's say start of November. So Adam had a contract. Let's say he tears his ACL and his MCL. He's going to get paid out for that. Yeah. Till the end of the year. Because if you do your MCL, ACL, you're not playing hockey again within 6 months. So that's your season finished. You'd like to think they carry on paying for his masters. They carry on paying him his wages. He rehabs. He gets his rehab. Maybe he comes back next year. Great. Obviously, he sadly doesn't do an ACL, doesn't do an MCL. It's his throat. It's death. Now, there's going to be, I think we worked it out to say like 25 weeks, 26 weeks left of his contract left to pay out. And then she said, well, there should be a death in service. Now, whilst I agree with that, I was like, I never signed a fucking contract that had death in service playing ice hockey. I bet there isn't one. And these are going to be the following questions. Boys, do we think like the insurance is good enough that there's a death in service? There's something that's going to say, yeah, we'll still pay out your contract and we'll do all these things. Obviously, there's the Love for Hibbing and Hockey Memorial Fund going on right now, over 70,000 with way more to be added. That's well going to break the 100 grand barrier. But from an actual club and not from fans and people putting their hand in their pocket, where's this all going to fall down on the Nottingham Panthers at a later stage?
It's just going to escalate and escalate. You look at bringing an import in now to where it was 5 years ago. You never used to have to pay for the NHS. That was a given. The visa rules were a lot cheaper. From bringing a player in was probably 50 quid in their flight. It's now a couple £100 for the NHS, bringing the family. The costs are going up and up and up. And then the situation that's happened, they're going to think, oh, insurance wise, there's no way any insurance on a player covers death.
To be honest, I know from I've had many chats about this sort of subject in the office and stuff in Cardiff, and the gist of it is they get the minimum, they get the bare minimum, because like when guys get injured and stuff, there's always this mindset, oh well, it's okay, the insurance will pay out for the guy's injury and his wages every week, as if they got the minimum just to kind of tick a box. Basically, there's not going to be, in my opinion, a death in service clause in there, because it'll be costing an additional premium. If there's an additional premium involved, British ice hockey teams ain't spending an additional money if they can help it, and that's fair enough to some extent. At the end of the day,
they fucking will now.
100%, exactly. You're not thinking of these things. You're thinking of the bottom line, aren't you? You're thinking of the bare minimum. So much is done with British hockey clubs where it's good faith, goodwill of people. A lot of them, like you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. A lot of people do things for love of the club and love of the game and don't get paid. If they can save a few quid here and there, they're going to do that. I'll be stunned if there's that kind of clause in there that's being paid for by every single team. Because if it's going to work, it's going to be every single team. But most of the time, because the premiums they pay is so little and the cover is so little, clubs just suck up if a guy gets injured and he gets paid $750 a week for the next 6 months. It is what it is. You have to sort of take it on the chin.
Yeah, you pay him 4.5 grand. Done.
Yeah.
versus paying 100 grand premiums on your insurance.
Well, there's still clubs that if on the visas they send them to Amsterdam for the day and come back. That still goes on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
dangerous. You shouldn't send me to Amsterdam for the day if you want me to fucking come back.
I'll see you about 6 weeks time.
Yeah, if you want me to come back in any sort of playing shape, don't send me to Amsterdam for the day. That would be the worst thing you could do. Boys, this has been fun. Ladies and gents, I hope you've been enjoying 3-on-3, joining 4,000 and counting. This won't be the last time we do this. We will be back for another episode where myself and Mark will be in Slovan. We're going to go check out Slovan Bratislava taking on HK Nitra, and we're also going to check out Brno taking on hopefully Jaromir Jagr and Kladno next week. We will be back right there with a couple of special episodes. Boys, thank you very much for joining. Ladies and gents, if you don't already, go follow 3-on-3 Boys, check out their podcast. Awesome work left, right and center, and I can't wait to collab again, boys. It's going to be fun.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Thanks for the son.
Peace out, folks.